Yo, what's going on? This is the NOC, the Nerds of Color. I am Kuya P, and I am back with another NOC exclusive interview. I'm super excited today because we have a first look interview with DC. I have Geoffrey Thorne, the writer of the new Green Lantern ongoing series launching this April. It spins out of Geoffrey's work on Future State Green Lantern, and it will focus on John Stewart, my favorite Green Lantern. We have Teen Lantern Kelly Quintella from DC's Young Justice, as well as Sojourner Joe Mullane. I don't know if I'm sounding that right, from Far Sector. It's really exciting. I'm super excited. Check him out. You see him on the screen as well. Shout out to Mr. Geoffrey Thorne. How are you, sir?
What's up?
I am truly delighted and excited to have you on, sir, here with the NOC. This is really cool, man. We have this new series that's gonna make, I know me as a fan who's been like all over the place, so many things to read. There's so many things to choose of great products. And so I first want to apologize though. It's very Marvel Live here right now behind me. I'm just gonna have to get with DC to give me some Green Lantern swag and some DC swag so I can change this up. So my apologies on that on the other team. But what you're doing. I'm all about this. I'm ready to find out what's going on with John and with all these other great characters that are in the Green Lantern Corps that, from what I understand, is what's going to happen with this first issue. Can we talk about first how this came about, how this new Green Lantern series was brought to your attention?
Well, yeah, basically, the short version is I pitched them a John Stewart story a long time ago. I pitched Dan DiDio a John Stewart story. He and I talked about it for a minute. It was going to be probably a series of miniseries, just all about John. And things just kept rolling on the DC side, which had nothing to do with my original pitch, where they kept sort of saying, hey, we like this. Can you add this in? We like this. Can you add this in? You know, we're going to do this over here with the rest of the DC universe. Can we fold your guys into that? And I just kept going, yeah, sure. And at one point I don't know what changed or didn't change because I'm not in the rooms where that happens. But the upshot was at one point they came to me and they basically said, look, we're really confident, we're strong on this John Stewart story you're telling. Do you want to just make that the Green Lantern book? And I was like, what? And they're like, awesome. yeah, we want you to stretch it out. Just make this the book. And I was like, okay. And like, also, we want to fold in Joe and Kelly to this. And I was like, well, isn't Far Sector still going? They're like, no, that's a maxi series. It's going to cap out, and then we want to have someplace to put Joe. And I was like, I mean, that's the best comic book series I've read in years, like years. Yeah. It's a perfect comic book series. Are you sure you want somebody like me messing around with something like that? Don't you want to just let it sit on the shelf and be made out of gold forever? And they were like, no, we want you to get her in the game. So I was like, okay, cool. And I didn't know what the hell a Teen Lantern even was when they brought Kelly up. I was like, huh? There's no such thing as that. And they were like, yes, there is. And I went and read it, and I was like, okay, this is crazy, but this needs to be addressed. Somebody needs to deal with this because this is some nonsense right here. This is crazy. When I say nonsense, I just means it's out of control, not that it's bad. Okay. And I was like, and now there's not going to be a Young Justice book. So who's going to deal with this? Like, we're just going to let this sit? No, we're going to do something about it. So that's how it all sort of started out. And then DC was like, I mean, I don't think I'm talking out of school because this has already been announced in other places, but they were like, we're gonna get rid of the power battery, the Green Lantern power battery. And I was like, excuse me? And they were like, yeah, that's part of the big things we're doing. And I was like, okay. And then they were like, but it's up to you how you do it. And I was like, oh, okay. So basically, after Dan was asked to go, or however that happened, parted company, there was sort of this weird limbo period where I didn't know what was going on with DC. I thought whatever I was going to do was just going to be dead because he wasn't in the mix anymore. Like, this was all like, right. There was that thing called 5G everybody was mad about. I didn't even know what that was at the time. Like, I didn't know that that was controversial. I didn't know any of that. They just brought me in and said, want to hear the pitch. So he liked the pitch, and I guess he wanted it for 5G so that when he was gone, I figured every project that he had his hands on would die too, because that's how Hollywood works. Yeah. Right? Like, the new president comes in and kills everything that the old president had. Well, it makes sense in a weird way, because if you put it out and it does great, you get zero credit. It makes it look like we made a mistake firing the old guy. And if it goes out and it fails, that's all your fault. So so better to just squash it. But that's not what happened. DC kept coming back, saying, we still like this. We still like this. So it just kept expanding out to what it is now. And it is... It's going to be action packed. Did they give you a copy of the first issue?
They did, but we had some email troubles. I'll be getting back with the team.
Okay, when you when you check it out, let me just tell you, it is action packed.
Okay, I'm excited.
It is different future state.
Okay,
because. Well, for a lot of reasons, but for one reason, Future State takes place 14 years in the future. Like, I think a lot of people miss that little, like, I think they think, oh, the battery goes away, and then, like, let's say the battery disappears on Monday, on Tuesday, everybody's running around in Road Warrior clothes, right? It's like, no, this is like, this is decades later in Future State, right? It's like almost 20 years later. So things have happened to these people. None of that has happened yet in the Green Lantern book.
So you didn't worry about those instruments with that.
No. And when you look at the Infinite Frontier book, you can see this is all happening now. It had nothing to do with what's going on in Future State, and that's more the tone of what the book will be for the first little bit. Like, it's going to take a minute if we ever really get to that. It's going to take a minute to get there. Like, so what we're going to have is a Green Lantern book, the Green Lantern Corps doing Green Lantern Corps things. We're going to see a lot of Green Lanterns. Like, in that first issue, you see a lot of Green Lanterns. There are Green Lanterns all over the place. There's a couple of Red Lanterns, a couple of Yellow Lanterns. And basically the idea is, in the Superman book, Brian Michael Bendis had the Kents, John Kent especially, basically tell the rest of the planets, the big civilizations, you guys need to get your crap together. What is this? Like, you pretending like you're all this advanced whatever. You need to stop acting like this. Even on Earth, we have the United Nations. Like, what are you doing? Like, and they're like, the kid's right. So I mean, if you got two Kryptonians telling you to shape up, you probably want to shape up. But
that is true.
But basically, they say yes, we're going to do that. And so, what does that really mean, though? Because the Guardians have been they're not the government, but they've been the police. They've been the justice, right? Judge and jury, really, like, and the military in a way. For, they'll say the universe, but let's just say a bunch of galaxies. And what does that mean if this galaxy is like, well, no, we got this. We're not sure we need you all anymore. Your services are, we need to talk. So Oa in this first issue is basically saying, all right, well, look, if we're going to talk, let's all talk at our house. Everybody come here. And so you see a version of Oa that is filled with different life forms. There's almost like there's a festival going on outside the big discussion. Everybody's there, different alien races you've never seen before. United Planets has its own police force, the brigade, the United Planets
Mm-hmm.
brigade, and they're there in full effect. They're just like, hey, I don't know what we even talking to these people for. We got this. Like, we
Yeah.
don't need these Green Lanterns. I don't know what you're talking to them for. Like, let's just kick them out. Let's, So, and then, so it's just that. And in the middle of this, John Stewart is the leader of the Corps right now. So
Mm-hmm.
he's sort of the representative of that part. The Guardians are representing the governing body. Hal's there. Guy Gardner's there on Oa. Simon Baz is there on Oa. Jessica and Kyle are elsewhere, doing stuff. Like, not all the Green Lanterns are there, but most of the Green Lanterns. I think about 5,000 Green Lanterns are on Oa right now. And basically everybody who could take a minute and come home for a minute, if you weren't in the middle of something like really crazy, come here and let's show these people who we are. Right.
Okay.
So that's what's going on. And John and Hal are sort of chopping it up about what this all means for the Corps. And I introduce not a new group, but a group I think a lot of people haven't been paying attention to before. That like, we're not happy with any of y'all. They're a terrorist group. And they have a beef, and it's a legit beef. They have a beef with the Guardians, and they're here to talk about it. And they're told, look, your planet is fine with the whole United Planets thing. I don't know what you guys are doing here. And they're like, well, we're here to do this. And then it goes crazy. And it's a big problem. And these people, I don't know when this is going to air, so I don't want to spoil it. But these bad guys, these terrorists, are from a group that has just been sitting there. The Legion of Superheroes takes place about 1,000 years into the DC Universe's future. So
they've already been around in the universe.
Yes. But the thing that I think a lot of people always forget about with the Legion is it is 1,000 years in the future. The only reason we're even there is because either Superman, Superboy, or Supergirl goes forward in time to sort of involve themselves with that. If they didn't do that, we wouldn't know about any of it, right?
Yeah.
So if the United Planets is civilization in the future, then this is where that civilization got started right now. So there's people that are allies in the future that are not allies now. There are people who don't even exist in the future who are a big deal right now. So since we're starting on the ground floor, I figured we could mix that up and play around with that a bit.
That's beautiful.
So it's going to be, there's not going to be a lot of like, let's fight the yellow lanterns, let's fight the red lanterns. What are the blue lanterns? We're not doing any of that. We're not doing any of that. Like,
and we've seen that. We want to see something different now.
Right. Yeah. You're going to see some new stuff.
I love it. So then, as I said, so this is how the project came to you, and we went into a little bit already on the story. Is this what was already part of your pitch? You've modified it a little bit now that it has been into your pocket, or are we going to get to your pitch initially?
Yes.
Is that still a story you want to tell now that you have this?
I think people have a weird idea of what happens in this medium. So I came in and I pitched a story that I've been messing around with in my head for a few years about John. They were like, yeah, that fits our plans. You can come tell that story. Great. And then as I said, everything sort of kept expanding out. As you talk to the editors, you start to modify. And like let's say I had an idea that was small and now it has to be bigger. I don't just go, okay, well, now he's more powerful. Well, now these guys can do this. It's like, okay, well, how does that fit together with this? If we're going to use this character, what way are we going to use this character? I don't want to do things that are expected. I've seen some of the speculation about how this is basically going to be what the old, like Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern Corps, only it'll be John in front of the Green Lantern Corps. Nope. It's not going to be anything like that. It's not going to be anything like that. What's going to happen with Joe and with Kelly and with Simon and with John sort of links together in some ways, and certainly, hopefully, by the end of this arc, it will sort of come together into one if I do my job right. But the story modified greatly, very much greatly, because of how the company also has stuff it wants to do. Like, I don't know everything that DC has planned. They don't tell me everything. So when I say stuff, just as like they might say, no, you can't do that because, you know, Superman's going to be fighting a Sun Eater in his book. So you can't have Superman fighting, you can't have your guys fighting a Sun Eater in your book because we already have Superman doing that over here. We can't have that happening. You can't do that. But on the other side of that, they would say, what if you did this? Can you do something with this concept? Like, and sometimes I'll say, no, that doesn't really fit. But usually I try to say yes. So when I say yes, it makes what I was going to do shift a little bit to the left or the right. Or a character I hadn't thought to mess around with is now, oh, that's a new wrinkle. If I'm going to now have, I've said this before in another interview, if I'm now going to have the Psycho Pirate, I wasn't thinking about the Psycho Pirate, but okay, if he's going to be in it, then I guess he's going to do this. Right.
Gosh.
And so that's what sort of spins the story in different directions. But plot wise, basically what I thought would happen to John is going to happen to John. It's just going to involve more people. Like, it was a little bit more of a solo story. Now it's there's just more new characters involved than would have been. And there's a whole lot of new characters. That's another a whole bunch of new characters.
Awesome.
Like,
so
lots.
In regards to that, like we've already stated earlier, or what I said in my intro, we have Teen Lantern Kelly Quintella. So was that brought in? How did you get to know that character, and how fun was that deep diving to bringing her in, as well as Sojourner Joe Mullane into this picture, into your story fold?
Well, Kelly is both not very defined and also very interesting because of the backstory that we do have on her. So, a couple of things. She's a liar. She claims to be a teenager. She's 11 years old. She's not a teenager. She at first claims that the way she got her powers was she hacked the Green Lantern power battery, and built her own glove. That's a lie. She didn't do that. I'm not saying that. She's a straight up liar. She's just a liar. So I wanted to play with that. And also, she's not some super genius. She's not like Marvel's Moon Girl. She's not that girl, right? She's not some sort of like tech savant. She's a girl who got given a magic weapon, a powerful alien weapon, and decided to be a superhero with it, which makes her pretty special, but not that other kind of special. Like, she's not a secret genius waiting to happen. She was a lucky girl. So I'm playing her like she's a girl. She's an 11-year-old girl. She wants to be good, but some of this stuff is kind of big. It's like Green Lantern isn't just a superhero. Like, you could say, if you're staying on Earth, I'm just a superhero. I'm going to use my powers to protect my city. You know, I'm going to stop crime and put people in jail and all that. That's not just what the Green Lanterns, they're way bigger than that. They're like DC's Jedi. Like, they're just much bigger than that. And she needs to know what she's getting into if she wants to mess around in this arena. Like, you want to play in the majors, this is how we play. Yeah. So she's being brought to OA. They're going to take a look at that glove, see what that's all about. And I'm guessing maybe the plan was, if we don't like what we see, we're taking it.
Okay.
Like, I mean, nobody's happy to see Kelly with this weapon. It's a powerful weapon in the hand of a child. Nobody's happy about that. And she's a street kid from La Paz, Bolivia. She's not an American girl. She has a different upbringing. She basically raised herself up to this point. I mean, she's got family, but it's not that kind of family. And so even though she's 11, she's going to have something to say about who gets to handle this glove. This will be my glove. Like, I know y'all think you can take this glove off me. Okay. You're okay with that. Okay. Right. So that was the fun of her. What kind of personality she's got. Also, she gets to say some of the things that you and I might say if we were ever magically taken to OA. Like, she'd never been any place like OA. She's been like one other place, the Gem World. That's it. Right. And some alternate versions of Earth, which just look like Earth. So this is the first time she's truly been to another planet, and she's going to respond to it like that. Like, you know, like a person does. So that's that. So Kelly's fun. We're gonna see a different. She's not a sidekick. She's not gonna be trained to be a Green Lantern. Not like that anyway. And a lot of what I think people are expecting me to do with her, none of that's happening. She's not some cute little precocious. Well, let me solve it. I know how to do it. Why didn't we listen to Kelly? We didn't listen to Kelly in issue 1, but now we have to listen to her because out of the mouths of babes, the truth will... none of that.
You want to challenge that, the expectation.
None of that happens. None of that happens. Literally none of that happens. And with Joe, I mean, people think I'm joking, but Nora Jemisin is like... She's an apex level writer. Like, I mean, people who only read comics and only maybe know her from Far Sector, they make, oh, wow, that was a really good comic. I really like that comic. People don't get it. This chick is world class. Like, the idea that she could jump from writing novels and short stories to writing comics with no problems. A lot of people think they can write comics who come from other disciplines, and they get broken because comics are not the same as those other things.
Very true.
Screenwriters can't do it. Novelists can't do it. It's not what they think it is, and they get in and they're like, I don't know how any of this works. I got to go. She not only can do it, she came in and knocked it out of the park every issue right off the top. Like, that is a perfect comic book. I thought this long before I ever got the chance to write Green Lantern. So my feeling is, I was very nervous. Like, I think people think I'm joking or I'm trying to be humble or something. I'm not. I'm just like, she set up something that makes it my ball to drop. Right? Like, if I do it wrong, it's going to be easy to tell I did it wrong right away. So I'm feeling like what I want to put Joe through in this book, I'm going to do it, but I have to, my goal right now is simply not to suck writing that character. If I can write it well, that would be gravy, but I don't want to do any damage to her because not because I'm trying to or not trying to, but just like my level of talent is not necessarily up to this challenge. We'll see. But so I was very nervous about that. But the thing you have to remember about Jo, as she's been established, she does not know any of the other Green Lanterns. She's never met any of the other Green Lanterns. She knows the organization exists, but the Guardians tapped her and sent her off to the city Enduring, like with her own kind of ring. Like, she didn't even do the oath. Like, she's a new kind of Green Lantern. So when she comes back into whatever we bring her back into, she's just as much a new flavor as anybody else. She's even more of a weird wild card than Kelly is, because we at least got a handle on Kelly. She's a kid with this thing. Worst case scenario, we just gang up on her and take it, right? But I mean, obviously the Green Lanterns are not going to bully some child and take their thing away. But we're not doing that. Don't even start that rumor. We're not doing that. But with Jo, she's part of the crew, except no one in the crew's ever met her or knows her. And some of the events force her to the front in a place where maybe she herself might have wanted to hang back and at least sort of see who was who and what was what. Events are not going to let her do that. So she's going to have to take a more front and center role in some ways, and that's going to ruffle some feathers. And the way she handles her business is different than the way other people handle theirs. She's never had to work in a team this way before. She works the way she works. So, so there's going to be that. The way she mixes with Simon and Kelly is going to be, I think, fun and interesting. But yeah, so those two are they were the ones that gave me most concern, and of the two, Jo is definitely. I just don't want to break that beautiful toy. I don't want to accidentally break that toy. Like,
I feel that.
Yeah.
What would you say has been your most favorite to write between the two? I kind of feel Kelly with her her angst and with all of that you're probably having a lot of fun with Kelly.
Kelly's a maniac. Oh my God. You come up with these characters occasionally that you're like, I didn't have any particular feeling or love for her one way or the other. I was like, okay, I got to use her. Let me find something interesting to do with this chick. Did some research, did all the research you can do on this character. There's not a lot on her. right? Picked all that up. I'm like, I guess I'm defining her now. And then when she started talking, I was like, okay, we need to make sure she doesn't talk all the time because she's just fun to write talking. Um, she's fun. She's fun, but I think there's some worry that because she's fun, that I'm going to let her take over the book. She's not the star of this book. She's not a Green Lantern. The book's called Green Lantern. She is not a Green Lantern. Kelly is not a Green Lantern. She calls herself Teen Lantern. Even she knows she's not a Green Lantern. So, but she's got a temper and she will protect herself. She is not like, oh, you're adults. I'll just do whatever you tell me. I'm so sorry. I should just give this glove back to you. She ain't that chick at all. So, she's had to look after herself for a minute. So she might be 11, but she's the kind of 11 that will cut you if you mess with her too much. Like, because she's had to be that kid. So, she knows herself. Let's put it like that. She knows who she is. So, not a lot of 11-year-olds are ready to make that statement. She is definitely ready for that. She's fun to write. Joe, I can't say if she's fun or not yet. I'm just trying to get her voice right.
I feel that.
Yeah, that's part of the job where you just make sure she sounds right. The stuff she's doing is fun, but it'll be probably a year before I can look back on it and go, okay, that was fun with her. I just want to make sure she's right. I don't want her creator to read one line and go, oh, what is this guy doing?
Yeah, that's really that's a lot of respect there. That's beautiful that you respect what was done before and that you really want to just do her justice and do the character honor. So I love that, and that's amazing.
Well, there was some controversy about me and Hal Jordan, and I don't like Hal, but I'm not trying to mess up anybody's creations, right? Like DC doesn't hire us to come in and crap all over these things. So whether I like Hal or not, as I've said many times, when Hal shows up in this book, he's going to be treated great. Like he's going to be treated like you expect Hal Jordan to be treated. I'm not doing less with Joe. It's just I followed Nora's novel career. So when I heard that she was coming into DC and that it ended up being a science fiction book, I was like, oh, this is about to be, it's either going to be the biggest fail ever because of my expectations, or this chick's about to blow the doors off. And she blew the doors off. So, you know, as a fan of her work, her specifically, I just don't want to mess it up. I don't want to mess it up. So I'm a little bit more delicate in the way I write her, but you would not know that from the audience side, but from the activity of writing her, from me as the writer trying to write this character, I'm much more precious about like, all right, I got to make sure this is exactly right.
Yeah.
Like, the only other character that's like that, ironically, turned out to be Sinestro, which totally freaked me out because I thought I knew how I felt about Sinestro.
Yeah.
But when you do get to read this and you see what I did with Sinestro just in issue 1, I was like, okay, he can't take this book over. He's not allowed to take this book over either. It's not about, you're not a Green Lantern. You're a Yellow Lantern, Sinestro. It's called Green Lantern. I can't.
I love it.
I can't give you all the good stuff. So leave me
that's
alone.
Awesome. As a deep John Stewart, that's my Green Lantern. And so to know that you are such a huge fan, and we're going to be getting the John Stewart we've always wanted, I'm just so excited. And I like to tell people, like, if you're a Hal Jordan guy, there's Hal Jordan books. You know, this is what we're having right now. This is our moment. So let us have our moment. Go read the other stuff. There's great content there. You know,
and like those other writers, like right now, Morrison's doing the Green Lantern, like this gigantic two year, however long it was, thing. But most of the Green Lanterns don't show up in that book. It's just really Hal, the Adventures of Hal, and nobody's mad at it. right? Like there wasn't a lot of uproar. Well, where's John? Where's Jessica? Like, oh my God! Like, there's none of that, right? That's a writer doing what he wants to do, or pardon me, what they want to do with their
Mm-hmm.
with their with their story. And he and Liam Sharp came to play. I'm sorry, pronouns. They and Liam Sharp came to play, and
Mm-hmm.
that book stands on its own merits, and I hope our book will stand on its own merits. But
Yes.
the idea that anyone's coming for anybody's particular character, yeah, there's going to be several characters that you're used to seeing that are going to be in the backfield in this book. They're just not going to be that prominent in this book. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
not sorry, not sorry.
Yeah,
But
exactly. As we are the nerds of color over here, and we're very cognizant of our representation, both
mm-hmm,
on the creation side of it aspect. So I'm so excited that you're behind this, and then
I
as well as our
am.
characters that you're playing with. So we've had to wait for a good John, just all these various stories that we want. And
Yeah,
so on that note, in regards to that, being that you are a nerd of color, playing with these amazing characters that we enjoy, um, you know we as a community look for that, and that escapism in science, because
mm-hmm,
we have everything that we're facing in our day to day, and we want to escape to these worlds, but also be able to, as a writer myself, kind of tell our stories in a fashion with these in this sci-fi realm, to tell about what we're going through, and to kind of also explain to white people, or in general, just those struggles. Or do you think about that when you write this, or do you just want to kind of just escape into it as well, to avoid the reality that we're experiencing in real life and all of that?
I will say this in my case. It's interesting. I'm not sure I can avoid doing what you just described. I'm not sure,
Okay.
even if I wanted to do that, to avoid it, that it would not be in the work anyway. Like whether I
Okay.
tried
Yeah.
to put
Yeah.
it there or not, because of who I
Yeah.
am and the way I've lived and the country I live in and how I came up, those things are going to be in the stories anyway. But one of the things that I think white writers get to take for granted that we never have been allowed to is all I need to do really is portray these people in heroic fashion, right? Their backstories will come into play. Like Kelly in particular,
Mm-hmm.
she's not a. Let me put it to you like this: I was writing a book for Marvel, and I don't want to. I don't want to promote another company's books right now, but I was writing a book for Marvel which involved New York, Puerto Rican, Spanish speakers. Um, I'm from Los Angeles. Our predominant Spanish speaking group here is Mexican, Mexican descent. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so Los Angeles Spanish and New York Spanish, not quite the same Spanish,
Yeah.
right? It's not exactly the same Spanish. And Spain Spanish is different than both of those, right?
It is.
So I've never been to Bolivia. I don't have any Bolivian friends, but I had to do a deep dive on how do Bolivians speak Spanish, right? Like, what would they say versus, an Angelino or American of any descent, of any Spanish heritage, Latin heritage? How would they use this? How would they say this phrase? What would they do? Kelly's life is not my life. I didn't grow up that way. I don't know anything
Mm-hmm.
about that kind of life. So I had to look into, they don't really have favelas, but you know what I mean? I have to look into the depths of what that might be like to write her well. So that's gonna give her responses to things that happen that you might not expect from an 11-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if I write her authentically, all the stuff that you just said comes through, whether I put it in the words or not, because
Yeah.
people from her space are going to be like, "Oh, I know that girl," right? And
Yeah.
people who are not from her space are like, "Is that real?" And I'm like, "Well, this dude who's from her space says yes, so I'm
Yeah.
going to say yes."
Yeah.
Right? So, and I think there's a lot to be said for um, what you said. We've been waiting. Uh, I feel there's a lot to be said for simply putting people into the positions. Like if
Yes.
you if you put John into the situation I'm going to put him in, if you put Joe into the situation, oh, let me put it to you like this. Let's say this isn't going to happen, but let's say Joe and Hal Jordan get into an argument, damn you, Hal, damn you, Joe, whatever. And I just portray them as treating each other like equals, then I've made a gigantic point about equality. I don't have to say, put into Joe's mouth, this is how women get treated by guys like you. I will never write a line like that. Mm-hmm. Right? Because it's just as effective to show a guy behaving well as it is to say, call them out for behaving badly.
Indeed.
Right? So and these are supposed to all be heroes. So we want to portray them as what we wish a person would be like. So if you're going to call the Green Lantern space cops, then I would want to make them not, well, here's an example of what the Black Lives Matter movement is protesting, right? Mm-hmm. Because those are evil, awful people who murder us in the streets under the color of their badge, right?
Yeah.
But what I want to portray is what I wish the cops would be. Oof. Right? This is a good cop. This is how a good cop's supposed to act when they come in a situation like this, whatever the situation is. So if I write them that way, you understand what I think about cops without me ever having to smack a cop in the face, basically. Now, I'm not saying I won't do that. I'm just saying it's not automatic. It's not required to do it that way. And I think the Green Lantern Corps, like I said, when you read the first issue, towards the end of the first issue, a couple of things get said out loud that should tell you how I think about the Green Lantern.
All right.
And John, at the beginning of the book, he's talking to Hal, and there's some words between them that tell you how I think about John. There's some things the Guardians say to John in this book that I'm like, I hope people get this. You have to actually read this book, because if you just sort of look at the pretty pictures, and by the way, Dexter and Marco, they came to play. Like, damn. Like, damn. Like, okay. And like, so if you want to just look at the pictures, that's fine, I guess. But certainly some people do it that way, but you're going to be missing a good part of the story if you don't read it. The artistic team on this book is Dexter Soy, Marco Santucci, and Alex Sinclair on the colors, and Rob Lee on the letters. And all of these people came to play. Like when I started getting the imagery back from them, the full imagery, like just the pencils, just the line art, I'm like, damn, these guys can draw. But when you see the colors, when you see the lettering done, like it's like it made me forget I wrote it. Let me put it to you like that. Like,
wow,
I'm just like, oh,
that's
damn,
awesome.
This comic is dope. I'm like, wait a minute, I wrote this. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it can fool you into just looking at it. If you don't read it, you're only getting a third of the story, or 2/3 maybe of the story, right? You have to read it, because the things characters say about other characters is just as important as what the character says about themselves. So so this is definitely going to be an interesting journey for all of these players. Some people are going to get hurt badly hurt. A great many people are going to get killed. Lots and lots of people are going to get killed.
Wow.
A lot of people.
I'm nervous.
You should be. People keep trying to tell me to protect their favorite Green Lantern, and I'm like, if you tell me their name, you remember there's 70. What are there? There's 7,200 Green Lanterns. I can't know all their names. If you tell me their name, you're not making it harder for me to kill them. You're making it easier for me to kill them. Right? So don't tell me anything about your favorite damn Green Lantern, because you're just putting a target on their back. Yeah. So it's going to be, everyone who reads the book should be happy with the book. Like, unless you're just the kind of person who can't stand that it's not focused on Hal. Like, if you're the kind of person who's like, I'm only going to read a Green Lantern book if Hal's the star, or if I'm only going to read it if Guy is the star, or Jess is the star, then you're not going to enjoy this, because they're not. I mean, that's the bottom line.
They have their time. That's all I know. This is my guy right here. So, so I'm done. I'm good with this.
John's getting the spotlight. Joe's getting the spotlight. And I would say the John spotlight is from me, and I would say the Joe spotlight initially started from DC. But um, again, I'm a professional. My job is to make these characters worthy to everyone who reads them, not just people who look like me. I think the problem over the years, and not necessarily recently, but the problem in comics for decades and decades was that they didn't give a damn about people who look like that. They're like, whatever, at best, whatever. And
Yeah.
I don't think that's fair. So I'm just saying, I'm writing a book that anybody picks this book up, if you don't have a bias, if you can't handle the fact that there's two black leads right now, and that's your beef, don't bother. Because I'm not going to talk you out of that. Nothing I do is going to talk you out of that. But if you want to see a great Green Lantern story, we're about to bring some heat. We're about to bring some heat. And it's a multi-ethnic, multi-racial, multi-gender group of people involved in this. And editorial, there's been a lot of negativity said about, AT&T coming in and firing all these people. I didn't know all the people who got fired. I didn't know any of the people who got fired. I feel bad for anybody who lost their job. That's awful. I mean, it's just awful. That's how corporations work and whatever with that. But like all good feelings to everyone who lost a job during the middle of the freaking pandemic. What the hell? But the people I'm working with editorially, they also came to play. Like, this is not, nobody's taking shorts on this. Everybody here makes me step my game up. Like, when you're working with professionals that tell you their work makes you, oh damn, I gotta write better. Shit. Like, damn it, Dexter. And Tom too. Tom Rainey on Future State. Yeah. Like, I've loved Tom's work since he did Stormwatch, since he made his little debut in Stormwatch. It's actually not his debut, but his big debut in Stormwatch back in the day. I was like, we're so lucky to have gotten Tom on Future State and to have him coming back to the book. Like, I couldn't be happier, and I hope the audience comes along for this ride because it's going to be interesting.
Awesome. So good. I'm super excited. Looking forward to talking with my DC people after we're done with this because I want to read this tonight.
Yes, you do.
Whoa, man. I have one major question because it's inevitable. When they see your name on this title, Geoffrey Thorne, who has been in Hollywood as an actor, producer, you've got your own IMDb page, man. And with everything, we love comic books, and we're we all consume comic books still. But everybody wants the cartoon, they want the film, and all of that. You're gonna get that inevitable question.
What?
Are you excited for? I don't know if you know anything the road, but do you think with some of what you're doing may translate later, or you're focused completely on the comic book? But would you ideally like to see later on a big screen John Stewart, Green Lantern, like we're hungry to have right now?
Wow. Well, all right. That's more than one question. So let's
got Geoffrey Thorne on it, man, and you're amazing, man, and you have that Hollywood background. We want this now.
Let's take it. Let's take that in different layers. Okay, one. Okay. I don't know a damn thing about the Green Lantern show. I don't know any more about the Green Lantern show than what the public knows. There's no connection. There's probably a whole lot of agreements that say they can't tell you anything. I work in the comic book side on this story. Like, the comic books, the editorial might know, but I don't know. Right? So some of the stuff maybe they can use, I guess. Like, there's stuff with the Guard. Anytime you add anything to what the Guardians do or know, yeah, somebody could use it. There's definitely some Guardian stuff in issue 1 that if somebody wanted to use it, it would make an interesting dilemma for somebody to have to get around. So that's one. 2, I'm a comic book fan for real, like the real kind of comic book fan. I have between 30 and 50,000 comics. I've been collecting comics my entire life, and one thing I hate is when Hollywood types come in and sort of use the comic book industry to get somewhere. Like, I can always tell from the way the book is laid out and from the way it's structured, oh, they're trying to make a movie. right? You read, oh, they're trying to make a TV show out of this, and they think, oh, we're stupid. We will buy this thing in such numbers that they can then go to their little Hollywood cronies and say, see, all the comic book geeks love this. Let's make a show. Like, I'm not playing that. So when I'm writing comics, I'm writing comics. I'm not thinking about whether or not somebody can turn it into a show or not. It's not a pitch for me to be on somebody's show. I'm writing Green Lantern because I want to write Green Lantern, the comic book. My agents, if they wanted to, could get me a read on the Green Lantern TV series, right? One of my friends is a showrunner on The Flash. I'm not trying to get on that show, right? Like, not with the comic books. Like, I'm not using the comic books to get anywhere. So, yeah, I'd be happy if one of my characters made it to the big screen or something, because I would get a payment off that. But I don't need it. I'm not trying for that. I have an idea for a John Stewart Green Lantern movie, but it had nothing to do with what I'm doing with John in the book. And I don't know that Warner's wants to make that movie right now. I don't know that they can make that movie right. So again, it's not really on my mind. I'm working on Magnum PI right now. So the two things are kind of separate. To me, other people who come at it from a different perspective, like maybe they come up through comics, so their big goal is I want to get on Netflix, or I want to get this thing made into a whatever. But I'm already doing that in the other part of my career. I don't need to focus on that with the comics. I feel like it's a distraction. So let's just concentrate on telling this really fun John Stewart story. And if people want it, if enough people love it, Hollywood will do what it will do. You know what I mean? Like, if they want to make, I don't know, like there've been a bunch of these Wonder Woman direct-to-streaming animated features on the animation side. Those to me are the best Wonder Woman movies. Like, I was like, why did it take you all so long to make a good Wonder Woman movie when all you had to do was adapt the Wonder Woman cartoon movie and make that into
Completely
a feature?
agree.
Like, all you have to do is sort of make it a little bit more adult, little bit, and just do that. Nothing against Wonder Woman. I liked Wonder Woman quite a lot, right? But it didn't need to take that long to do it right. Like, you didn't need to go through all of those hoops. You already had made it, essentially. So I feel the same way. Like, if the animation guys read this arc and they're like, hey, there's a movie in there, you want to make a movie out of that? Then I'll be like, well, I am uniquely qualified to turn this into a screenplay. You know? But if they never do, great. I want the audience that this is intended for to like it. Like, I want people who like Green Lantern to like this book. I want people who like comics to like this book. I'm not thinking about a movie or TV audience. That's a different audience.
Excellent. That is actually the answer I was looking for. You know, it's inevitable because of your Geoffrey Thorne, man. You're amazing. So it's gonna be you know, the us nerds of color, us fans, boys, everybody out there is gonna, you know, they're gonna be curious just because of your stature. So to know that you're gonna put your focus in regards to the comic book, which still is an amazing platform, people who are watching this. Yes, we love our anime. Yes, we love our movies, but comic book, actually, you know, and books, you know, that we everything else that's based off of out of this stuff is where it's at. So I am that was the best answer I was looking for. So you passed the test on that one, Geoffrey.
Thank you. I hate when Hollywood guys do that.
Yeah. So really excited for John Stewart Green Lantern. Know that you are a fan of his and you came in with that, and you had to adapt it to some other stuff. I really appreciate that story, and I'm so excited for the future. I'm really looking forward to reading this, and I will be doing so hopefully as soon as we're done with this, brother. In the next 10 minutes.
I'm telling you, I'm not allowed to show it to anybody. I showed it to my wife basically because she's in the house with me, and she's like, "This is a lot." And I like, I know they gave me 30 pages. Let me go. So, but it's a Green Lantern book. It's a Green Lantern book. It's not. It's a Green Lantern book. It's a Green Lantern.
So I think that's a good place to end this. Of where what we can expect. We're gonna get a pure Green Lantern book from Geoffrey Thorne, man. I'm truly delighted to have had this past, about hour to have this conversation with you. Hopefully we can have some more as
For sure.
as you go along with this. This is fantastic. Thank you to DC Comics. Thank you, Geoffrey. Any other final words before we sign off? Can we let the fans besides DC Comics know how they can reach out to you? Are you on any socials at all?
Well,
to give at them?
let me steer people away from my Twitter feed. You can find me at geoffreythorne.com. It links to all of my stuff. If you come to my Twitter, just understand there's a lot of politics, and I'm grown. I'm a grown-ass man. Let me put it like that.
There you go.
So just don't expect it to be all goofy. It's goofy, but it's not all goofy. And yeah, whatever. What's up? Oh, yeah, I'm very interested. These first 2 issues are sort of like the baseline. So it's going to be very interesting what you guys see at the end of issue 1, and I'm very interested to see what people see at the end of issue 2.
All right.
The end of issue 1 is going to be a trip.
I'll have to DM you in Twitter or something to let you know after I get my eyes on it.
Hit me for real.
Excellent, Geoffrey. This has been amazing. I am Kuya P, Patrick Michael Strange of the Nerds of Color. You can follow me at Strange Since 1977 and at Temple Far East, and of course at the Nerds of Color, where we give you pop culture from a different perspective. nerdsofcolor.org. Thank you for checking us out. Thank you, DC Comics. Thank you, everyone on the team. Again, thank you, Geoffrey. I can't wait to say I can't wait to do the oath. The power battery's gone. So what am I going to do? I don't know, but we're going to find out. Green Lantern #1. Go check that out.
Just watch. Later.
Right.
Thank you very much.